اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وقاسم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقدار العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أفضل صلاة وتم تسليما على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين علماء عاملين وأئمة أربعين مجتهدين مقلديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome to another The Soullutionz podcast. I am one of your hosts, Imam Muhammad Abdullah Ameen, along with Amir, Khalil, Abdullahi, and brother Ustad Saleh, Abdul Mujeeb. Tonight's discussion we'll be talking about desires versus Deen. However, this discussion is a broad topic, is a very broad topic as it relates to desires. And this topic came about as it relates to a conversation that we had yesterday. And I missed most of the conversation because I was like trying to do 4 things at one time. Dealing with my children, dealing with other affairs and other affairs that I was trying to attend to, along with talking, having a discussion with the brothers about following desires, all right, or as it relates to following desires in the Deen, right? So as it relates to following desires versus Deen, right? So most people, they're more concerned with how they feel, what they think, overall to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses addresses things on how we should approach certain things, and how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had instructed us and gave us the example on how to approach certain things and situations. And basically, I mean, it all boils down to what is embedded and seeped in the heart. And when I saw this topic, I had talked to Amir Khalil earlier, a few hours ago, and he had told me about it was a discussion we had yesterday. I was like, I missed the discussion. Right? He was like, yeah, you was dealing with whack TNT, aka AT&T. You know what I'm saying? And one of the new toys that I had got in yesterday. We like our toys. You know what I mean? We like our watches and our iPads and our Apple products or our Android products. I don't got anything Android besides nothing, basically. So our Apple products, right? So majority of the conversation I had missed, right? So the thing is that we apply things in our life based solely on our desires. Many of us do. And many of us, because we already in a delusional state, or we deal in self deception. We're not aware of what we're doing, right? We're not aware of it. Some of us are totally aware of what we're doing, and some of us are not. I gotta be real. Some of us are not aware that we're doing that. And I'm not making an excuse, because it's an issue that we have to correct, and the issue is deeply rooted and sourced in the heart, right? So it took me back to something that Sheikh Abdullahi Danfodio, to go to Mullah bi Rahmati Ameen, had put in one of the introductions, the muqaddam of one of his books, that I used to go over consistently every week. It's actually a synopsis of a book by Sheikh Uthman Danfodio, to God Allah bi rahmati Ameen, by his brother. And this synopsis is on the last last topic in the Sheikh's book. And Uthman Abdullahi Danfodio, he did a whole book related to that one topic, mashallah. Also, he had did, Sheikh Abdullah, he had did many tafsir of Quran. He was a mufassirin as well. And what I'm saying, his tafsir of Quran of the Quran is many different tafsirs of Quran. They're very uniquely detailed. So in this book called Tahdhib Insan min Kasal Shaitan, the training of humanity against the traits of Shaitan. Its introduction is talking about the stages of the heart, ahwal al-qalb, and the stages of the heart. And as he points out, he says the nobility of humanity over the animals is their. Man, I need glasses. Animals is their propensity for direct experiential knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obedience to him, to Allah ta'ala. This direct experiential knowledge does not occur except in the heart, right? So the heart is the seat of obtaining and reaching ma'rifah, knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only way that it can get to that state is having the correct belief about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the correct tawheed, right? Knowing what tawheed is, first of all, right? Any individual that cannot understand and grasp the three attributes of everything that is created, everything that's in creation has three principles that exist in everything that's created. If an individual does not understand them three things, so they would never, if they don't understand them three things, them three perspectives, they would never understand tawheed, right? And the heart has to submit to that knowledge and understanding that, right? Because the seat of the heart is the intellect, right? The heart is the intellect. It's not. I'm not talking about the physical beating, clogged arteries, unclogged arteries heart. I'm talking about the spiritual heart that excites the intellect, right? He bring understanding to the brain, and that's knowing that everything in the creation is attributed with three things. It's either a particle, an attribute of a particle which is a jawhar, an attribute of a particle which is an arid, or a jism, a body, and two or more jawhars is a body, right? So everything in creation has them three characteristics. Anyone who attributes any characteristic of creation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not understand tawheed. So the experiential knowledge of the heart is to have knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and being a knower of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reason for this is that the heart is eminently knowledgeable of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in close proximity to him, and spiritually unveiled to that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with that which is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially when it is free from other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see how this applies to knowing the three attributes of things that's in all creation, right? anyone who does not understand them, they can never understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can never understand true Tawheed. While on the other hand, the heart becomes veiled from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it is completely submerged in other than Allah. Right? What else is other than Allah? Being submerged. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives his servant the ability to obtain, because we can't do anything without Allah ta'ala giving us the ability to do it or protecting us from doing it. And what I'm talking about, the ability to do it, mean the ability to do good deeds, right? The ability to perform all virtuous acts. And we don't have any power or any ability to stay away from sins, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects us from committing them sins. He averts the sins away from us, right? And this is not something that we do on our own. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doing this, because Allah ta'ala is the real doer. As a result, from the deep-seatedness of the heart is what controls the mind and the limbs to put forth any actions that Allah Ta'ala gives them the ability to perform. So, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our two guests is on. I gotta take a break, so either one of y'all can come on, and I'll slide back in, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey, man, Khalil, I just literally walked in the door, man. I guess I'm gonna have to go then, man. I guess I have to go. Alhamdulillah. Mashallah ta'ala. I really didn't get a chance to hear what Abu Muhammad was talking about too much, really, inshallah. To piggyback off you, Abu Muhammad, how did you start off? I guess everybody did. Look, see how everybody did? But alhamdulillah, I didn't really hear too much about everything. So just to go off the topic of what we're saying, or what we were speaking on, that your Deen over nafs, right? I spoke to with desires versus Deen. Forgive me, desires versus Deen. I really wanted to talk on this topic too, which was very important, because as we know, a holiday just passed. And normally when these holidays pass, this is when you get majority of the time the Facebook scholars pop out, the Google Sufis pop out, Taskil to Instagrams pop out. All these extreme Muslims pop out during these times, right? And normally they're going to attack other people who do certain things because they're struggling with their own battles, right? Their own nafs, their own desires. And this has become real problematic in the Islamic community now, to the point where if we thought Salafi and Ahl Sunnah is divided amongst these things, it's like a whole nother branch of division, a whole nother branch of Islam where we're divided when things come up, right? And this is becoming so well spoken of, like you could be ready to see these things, right? And normally we attack these people. I'm always going to say we, because the Muslims is a body. We attack certain people due to, like I said, that we're fighting our own desires, we're fighting our own nafs. And due to this, because we don't have our desire, our nafs in control, we tend to backlash, to stand our point, even though we know certain things is wrong, right? When certain things is wrong. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was a brother, a brother that was spoken about, that, he wants to hang a Christmas tree, well, put a Christmas tree, whatever that's called, hanging a Christmas tree, putting a Christmas tree up and decorating it, because there's nothing in the Quran or the Sunnah that specifically speaks on do not uh celebrate Christmas. Do not celebrate Christmas, right? Not knowing that this person do not know the usul of our religion, right? By him saying these things, he does not know the usul of our religion, right? And this shows the fault of him of wanting to follow his desires, right? And due to us having these uncontrollable nafs is due to the lack of not acquiring the obligatory knowledge that we need to be a Muslim in our daily lives, right? We have some people that was graced with knowledge of being a scholar, right? Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them on a at a higher stature than the common folk. Then you have the people who study underneath the scholars, which we don't want to use a title of al but the people who study underneath the scholars that can convey it to the common folk, right? And then we have the common folk. What's different between the common folks during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and now, that if we think about a hadith that is going to be summarized, where it was a Bedouin that came into the masjid and asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam certain things. If I fast, I keep my prayers, I do this, I do that's why I make it to Jannah. He said, yes, you will. He said, okay, that's all I'm doing. Right? And he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about these things because he was sincere of acting upon these certain things, right? Of doing these things with sincerity. With us, compared to the common folk now, everything we do when it comes to a good deed, a bad deed, it has to be publicized. And due to it being publicized, it lacks a form of sincerity because you want everyone to see it. And then we think of another narration of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where, in summarization again, that it was people on the day of Yom Qiyamah that would stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he would say, I was a warrior, and he said, no, you only went to battle to show off, that to let people know that you are a warrior, right? These are the things, right? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, forgive me. I'm kind of tired, y'all. Well, in translation, it says, woe to the person who prays. And the prayer is done. The person who, right? Woe to the person who's praying. And this is the person who's praying to be seen for the people, right? To be seen by the people, right? And this is the problem we are having. Everything that we are doing is to be broadcast. And nowadays, we do these broadcasts so we can be praised and be seen by the people because it feeds our desires. It makes us feel important. It makes us feel like we it puts it amps us up. It soups it soups us up. It makes us feel good. It's an ego rub. As again, it feeds our desires. And this is becoming so troublesome that now social media has given everyone who follow their desires, right, a voice, even when they're wrong, right? And we think of what the Prophet ﷺ said, that is going to come a time, how the religion is going to be lost, is that he's going to take the people of knowledge, the scholars, right? And we know that, the people of, the people of ignorance will be praised, and the people who have knowledge will not be praised. So now it comes to this time where if you have knowledge and you're not talking about what people want you to hear, it's becoming problematic again. So all this stuff, we only want to hear what feeds the nafs. What feeds the nafs. Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah ta'ala, in his book Minhaj al-Abidin, he speaks about your nafs being like a wild dog, right? Like a wild dog. That when you walk near it, it barks and barks and barks. It's out of control. And he said, you know, to try to control your nafs, call out to the owner of the dog, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So the way we control our desires is by returning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and start doing things with sincerity, with this yaqeen, right? Once Mufti Niyaz, we was at a book reading. We was going over, but we was reading a bridge version of Ihya Ulum ad-Din, another book by Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah ta'ala, and he spoke about a way of not committing sin, right? He said every time you commit a sin, to give something that you love. And he said normally to give money because we all love money. And he said every time you do a sin, give money, to the point where you're not going to want to give your money anymore. Is going to stop you from committing this sin, right? So giving up something you love to control your desires. And this is what we have to do. We have to start giving up what we love. And what do we love nowadays? The attention. People go on social media, say things, right? Say things that could be totally false, that goes against Islam, And if people can relate to that, which is the masses, people will make you feel good in that, right? So we have to give something we love. And nowadays is attention. Stay away from social media. Fast from social media for a period of time. And you're going to see the results of you changing. Why? Because you're giving up something you love, right? Put the phone down, right? This says the somewhat. I was reading something where it says somewhat people spend close to 16 hours a day on their phone. 16 hours out of the day on their phone, right? And we're scrolling through social media, we're scrolling through Facebook, we're scrolling through Instagram, looking for something that we can relate to. And majority of the time, depending on the people who has their nafs control, you're going to run to the thing that it loves, right? You're going to run to what your heart loves, right? So some of us may want to always read a great quote, right? Some of us may want to always, hear some Quran recitation. But then the mass majority of us run to what we love. And that's the fitna. We want to see the fitna on social media, the latest gossip, the latest this. And it feeds our nafs to the point where it's glutton. That is hard to fast now. It's hard to take away what is destroying your nafs because it's so glutton with what is being shown and displayed on our daily lives due to this phone, through this social media. So we have to start fasting from these type of things. Well, mashallah, you hear Imam Khalil, I want to grab something to eat real fast. I'm going to be listening. So speak your mind. Let me warm something up. I'm here. I just walked in.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. رضي الله تعالى عنه وسرد التابعين وعلماء عاملين وآئمة عربة مجتهدين ومقلديهم إلى يوم الدين وبعد. They say you can't compete with a man's stomach, So go ahead and get you something to eat, Saleh. But anyway, we want to talk about the topic of discussion is your desires versus the Deen. And it came from a very passionate conversation I was having with Brother Saleh. Muhammad wasn't paying us no mind, like he mentioned, But, I figured Saleh be all amped up, all fired up, because we was fired up on the phone. But anyway.
I'm hungry now, man. I'm just some food, my man.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. So, but anyway, the reality is that those things that are desired, it depends on the individual, who the person is. It's going to be stronger than what they want in the Deen. There's plenty of examples of it, right? I can start by the most popular topics. Okay. Let's start because, just 2 days ago, it was Thanksgiving. Now, I've been around long enough where Muslims didn't practice. It didn't even, it didn't bother them like that, right? So then I remember in the 90s, the late 90s, heading into 2000s, it became a thing of, we need to be around family and give them dawah and so on and so forth. And then after that, it just changed into, well, it's not religious, it's just a secular holiday. And if you know anything about American history, I was in college, I took a couple courses on American history. That argument about it not being religious and how it's, a non-secular Muslim doesn't think like that. Everything in our mind, our vernacular, our way of life is all considered an act of worship. There's no such thing as not an act of worship. Even the Prophet Sahaba asked him, even cohabitating with your wife, having relations with your wife, that's considered an act of worship. And the Prophet said yes, right? You make dua before you have conjugal relations. You get barakah. Imagine you getting barakah for something that you like doing, right? And this is why, and if a person, especially a wife, if she abandons the call to the bedroom, it works against her, right? Doesn't work in her favor. But if she answers the call to the bedroom, then, she receives reward, even if she didn't feel like it, or she got a headache or a stomach ache, as the most common excuse used today in today's time, right? Anyway, so everything in our case is an act of worship. But however, Abraham Lincoln, came up with this concept that Thanksgiving wasn't religious. So every time you say that, Thanksgiving isn't religious and I'm practicing it based on that, you're practicing the Deen of Abraham Lincoln. Every time that, we go into this thing, remember it founded basically with the Pilgrims. So, when you practice it based off the Pilgrims Deen, you practice it according to the Kitabis. Right. However, most of the bulk of the Muslims ain't even thinking about none of that. The only thing they want to do is 9 times out of 10, I'll say about 80, about 70%, 25. Let's see. Only about 20%, 25% of the Muslims are trying to do it so they can eat some halal bird. Right. They can eat a halal turkey, chicken, whatever have you. The other 75 don't care whether it's halal or not. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned about this. He said that there's going to come a time upon the people that they're not going to have any concern for their earning or how they earn or what they eat, right? Because the only thing you care about is for the taste, right? And this is also, to understand this as well, there's also levels where you're able to grow. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Where you grow in your Islam. You shouldn't be doing the same thing you were doing, making rookie mistakes in the beginning. And as you get older in the latter part of your life, you revert back to going to do things that you did when you were younger, right? That's a person that's not really thinking, with their mind on straight and headed in that right direction, where you're basically hustling backwards. And this is what you see quite often, and that a lot of our elders, they're moving backwards. They're trying to keep up, with the young bucks, even if it means sinfulness, being sinful. You know what I mean? To roll backwards, right? Now think about this. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned about a person that's despised. Right? One person that's despised. And he happened to mention, not when he says age, he didn't mention like a specific age, but he mentioned someone who is an elder and still engaged in fornication and adultery. Right? Very common that you hear somebody 50 years old talking about my boyfriend or my girlfriend. It's very common in today's time. Right? So anyway, back to our desires, even though that's a practice of a desire. So when you're talking about what happened just Thursday, most of the people were on defensive and argumentative because they wanted to spend time, with their family. I believe they wanted to spend time with their family. but they also just wanted to eat because that's the day, you know, that everybody's cooking, the good meals is out, you know, things of that nature, right? What actually constitutes, you know, that celebration of something, you know, in that, you know, something like such as Thanksgiving, it's the nia, it's the intent that's involved behind it. What's the driving force, right? Because a Thursday is a Thursday to anybody else, just any old people. Holiday, that's usually a day you take a break from work and you spend all your money. That's why holidays are created, right? In order to, you know, drain money out of your pocket. It used to be in commemoration, but that commemoration thing, it, you know, it dissolved a long time ago. I was listening probably about 8 years ago, maybe even longer. It might have been 12. I was listening to a radio program on NPR, and they were talking about de-religiousizing, taking the religion out of Christmas and make it more about the holiday and spending, right? And so, you know, the people were in the uproar. There was all kinds of people calling in, and, you know, because a lot of people believed that was the December 25th was the birth date of Jesus, right? Not Isa ibn Maryam as we know him as Muslims, but Jesus, right? They believe that he was born in, you know, and during that time. And so, you know, their belief is connected to that. Now, many of us, especially us, those who converted to Islam, we have a lot of baggage to shake, especially if you come from Christianity, NOI, 5%erism, whatever you was, and you was American, your religion ain't that strong. Your desire is usually stronger than your religion, because every religion that's within, you know, that's practiced within the borders of the United States, everybody compromises their principles, right? Whatever the trend is in society, whatever the media sets, that's what becomes the discussion, right? All you got to do, look at it. When the whole LGBTQRSP thing happened and it kicked off, right? The first place that it landed before it went anywhere else was all of the churches, right? And they just kept going and kept going. And then it was churches like, look, we open to the community. Here you go. Here's the flag, all that stuff. Come on over here with us. Love is love, right? And that's how, that was the thug. That was the thug way. I don't know about other places, but I know in New York, that was the thug way of embracing homosexuality. Love is love, dog. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's your business. I mean, that's a cool way to kind of like, you know, skip around like, yo, I don't want to talk about it. But, however, that still gives them that green light. And so then what happens is, in order to ramp it up, these same individuals that have their lifestyle embraced by the government, now they're going to start enforcing and pushing themselves upon you. The same way you got the turkey eaters and the hit in the head eaters, the people who everything that defines the Muslim, right? We fight against it to take away its definition and meaning, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned in the hadith that whoever follows praise our salat, right? Praise our qibla, right? Eats our slaughter. Those three attributes are killed right now. It's nothing but chaos surrounding those, to the point there's nothing left, right? You'll argue about how you should cover during prayer, right? Our tradition is 1,400 years old, and it's been passed down from person to person, right? We would love to change that. We love to change that. It's not a common practice for women to wear pants. It's not a common practice. It ain't even a common practice in church. Y'all can't tell me that. If I know anything, I know that church stuff because I grew up in that crap, right? So it's not a common practice, but now in Islam, here it is. And how do we justify it? Oh, you know, only thing a woman has to do is dress modest, right? So therefore, she had on a baggy pants and a shirt. And then it started coming like, yo, you know, they only dress like that because the desert Arabs, this, that, and the third, and so on and so forth. And then we really got arrogant with it in saying that we needed Islam for the black man. This is the fork in the road that you have right now. Meanwhile, the youth They're kind of impressionable. They want to go with the latest fad. They want to go with what's trendy, right? They want to go with what's trendy. Okay, so what comes out and what looks authentic, more authentic than others, that's what we're all going to follow. And I was even a victim to that as a youth before I was even Muslim. We used to have the Ansars that were walking around in our neighborhoods, in our projects and everything like that. They used to wear the turban and everything, right? I used to be so anti-European that I even disliked the Nation of Islam, because I said my opinion always was to them, even as a child at 10 years old, that they were angry black men because they didn't have the same thing the white man had, but they mimicked their entire lifestyle, right? That's just how I felt, and that's how I viewed them, and I didn't see it no other way. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, why am I saying that? And we still had that same type of mentality. So as a child, I seen this. I used to see their women, and women used to be like veiled up, things of that nature, walk around. They were giving you dawah, calling you to their corrupt form of what they called, Islam at the time. Then you had the NOI, and then you kind of like had the Sunnis who were more like, they were kind of more. They didn't give you that impression about Islam. They'll teach you a thing or two about Jesus, the son of Mary, Isa ibn Maryam. You'll learn things of that nature. But when it came to things such as Salat and things of that nature, there wasn't no real emphasis on it. A lot of people didn't pray in the masjid. You had to be of a certain orientation to, attend masjids, right? So you'll see a person before you actually hear them. Okay. Now, when you start learning, now you really start changing your life. A person that's caught in the trend, they're not going to go no further than that particular trend. Right? They think that their trend is the end all be all. And the only thing that they seem to focus on is the outward appearance. As long as I look like this, then this is all that matters. Right? As long as I look like this is the only thing that matters. They don't tie and connect anything to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our biggest hurdle in the West is us embracing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't have a problem with La ilaha illallah. But our biggest issue is Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when it comes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you have those individuals that say, now look at this, right? I spoke about this last week, and I'll re-emphasize it again. When a person will tell you the truth, but they intend to lie, right? When you tell them the truth, but they intend to lie. So meaning that you'll speak on a matter that is true, but your intention is an absolute lie. You didn't mean anything for that person, right? Absolutely, Sister Malika, until the next trend comes around. That's absolutely a strong point there. Because when it's on the wave, and Imam Malik had a young man that confronted him like that. They said, oh, Abu Abdullah, that was his kunya. Oh, Father Abdullah, let us debate. Imam Malik's like, debate? Yeah, let's debate. Okay, if I debate you and I win, what happens? I'll follow you, right? He said, okay. And if you win the debate, then what? He said, then you'll have to follow me. He said, then what happens if the next person comes along and he debates you? And then I'll follow him, right? And if you look at the diaspora, of the legacy of Islam from amongst Black Americans, it was always a transition from one debate to the next debate, to the next debate, to the next debate, to the next debate. We went from Noble Drew Ali being a prophet, Elijah Muhammad being a prophet, right? What's the other slickhead boy name? Fard Muhammad being Allah, right? To all that stuff is a myth. We only worship Allah, right? And then you had we don't worship the mystery God. Then we went from that to, they on the wrong Deen, right? The best way to do is follow this particular way, right? Then to Allah's in the heavens or on a chair in the sky, got arms, leg, arm, and head, right? The same thing that they used to say back in the day, arm, leg, arm, and head, right? That was supposed to be the acronym. That was the 5% acronym in the Nation of Islam acronym of what Allah meant, right? Then we get to the trend, we get to the point where people start learning the Aqidah, the truth, right? That Allah doesn't resemble his creation. He's not like his creation. and things of that. Now we're almost like cultish with it. The same people that we claim that we're hating, we hate Salafis so much. Now you mimic them and you behave just like them in the earlier days because they don't behave like that like they used to.
Hey,
You behave just like them, right?
Remember the other acronym the 5%ers use.
I can't do this, and I can't, I can't pray here unless it's a Salafi, or I can't marry you unless you suck. This is where we went. This is the trend, and all this stuff is just trending. And usually, most people that I've known that was in the trend that I know personally, most of them ain't even practicing Islam no more because of the trend. Because of the trend, you got the Turkey Day, right? Christmas is coming. You got Easter coming. People, there was Muslims. I watched this stuff with my own two eyes, and Muslims still do it to this day because they love their mother more than they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They love their father more than they love Allah ta'ala. As Allah ta'ala said about these people, they prefer their days, their ways of jahiliyyah over and above what Allah Ta'ala has shown them. They love them equally with Allah because one of the definitions and understanding of the word ibadah, worship, is ta'ah, obedience. And so when you let grandma take little Rashid to Easter Sunday, little Rashid ain't responsible. The parent is responsible for them. That is an act of disbelief. Look what you're doing to your child. Look what you're doing.
They say things like, I'm going to let my child pick his religion.
So this is the thing. These are trendy. This is the desire. Why? Because why? I don't feel like I should force that on my son. I don't feel I should force that on my daughter. Why? Ask yourself, if you feel like that, why did you take Shahada? Because when you start to learn Islam, you understand that Shahada saves you from the eternity of the hellfire. But when you start mixing and matching and letting your desires get in there. Remember when the Prophet ﷺ made the Isra wa Mi'raj? And he seen paradise and he seen hellfire. He was showing them. And it was said that when he seen paradise, he said no one would enter it. Because it was surrounded by these, these hardships. When he was shown hellfire, he said everybody will go towards it. Because they seen it surrounded by what? By your desires. Following the sunnah take discipline. This deen is about mujahidah. It's about struggle. Right? And so one of the things that you learn as a Muslim or becoming a Muslim or becoming a better Muslim, that you're going to have to struggle against those things that you love, that you knew was haram in the first place. That's the deen. That's the desire versus the deen. The solution for it is you're going to have to tie them boots up, lace it up. Lace up, put your gloves on, put your black hat on, and lock and load, and you're going to have to learn your deen and practice it.
Your black Air Force Ones. You got to put the black Air Force Ones on.
Syncretic Muslim by name and nothing else. Have you ever felt insulted when you run into a person and they ask you, are you Muslim? When you look the part? You got to ask yourself sometimes like, damn, what am I doing? Did I do something wrong to make you think I wasn't Muslim? All right. So this is the thing. You got that desire. And that desire be strong. Like, think about it. Where does rape come from? Rape comes from a place of strong desire. I gotta have him or I gotta have her to the point I'm gonna take it. I know. And you start hallucinating in your mind. Most rapists are crazy. They lose it in their mind. She want me. I see the way she look at me. He want me. I see the way he look at me. Same way you licking your lips looking at that turkey on Thursday. That thing want me. And I want it too. Right? That desire. Think of it. Every time that you desire to do something that's going to make you go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, think of a rapist. Think of a rapist. You're ready to throw everything out the window, sacrifice everything. And it's also a telltale sign that your iman is weak and you have a weakness, a deficiency in your Islamic belief, because we know, as you read it in the Quran, what does Allah Ta'ala tell you? That Allah Ta'ala is Al-Basir. Right? that Allah sees everything. So there's no way that you can hide this with this wicked mentality. But that rapist mentality, he think nobody sees. As long as I can get you in the dark corner, I can do what I want to do to you. The same way we think, as long as I can get in this little area where none of the brothers and sisters see me, I can do whatever sin. Another thing that goes along with the desire is that you'll insult people until they take on your approach, right? And this is why Allah Ta'ala says that making mockery of the deen is kufr, right? Don't even sit in the company of people that's making jokes about your deen. Well, one of the biggest things that you have now is Muslims making mockery of other Muslims, right? Haram police, right? The Sunnah Brigade. They make all these particular names and accolades for you and laugh at you, right? Our sisters be on the front line. Don't let her wear hijab, or like a full hijab. They call her ninja and everything else, right? People used to literally, imams used to literally from the minbar, y'all sisters dressed in all black like you mourning the dead. Y'all brothers wearing dresses. These were the jokes. These are the things that people used to do. They used to do it to the Prophet ﷺ, the disbelievers. But now you have Muslims doing it. La ilaha illallah, we all accept that. But Muhammad Rasulullah, that's where we get shaky at. That's where we start changing. That's where you know where the person's at with their Islam, right? That's where that stuff happens. And so instead of us learning the deen in order to become better Muslims, we're learning the deen in order to argue against other Muslims and abandon the practice of the Prophet ﷺ. I ain't gonna keep going. Y'all good brothers is back, so I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna chill. Y'all got the floor now.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, and the desire is the destruction of man. You know, and we got to learn how to control it. You know, and you made a good point. You said think of a rapist and how they're psych. You know, they're crazy, right? You made me think about the movie. Whoever seen the movie? What is it? From Dusk to Dawn. You ever seen that, right? And how the brother was looking at the woman all the time and said, "Yo, she," and was imagining the woman saying stuff to him, right? Was poop bad crazy? You know what I mean? Was extremely crazy. And you know you think about it, right? You think about it, and that's the waswa of the shaitan, right? That's the whispers of the shaitan, right? And we fall victim to it all the time. Like I was watching a sister live today, right? I had to correct her on it, but she didn't listen. I'm not going to expose the sister, because she's a good sister. She's struggling through things, as of right now, due to, failures of marriage, right? And we got to understand, for one, right, that a failure does not mean, right, that everything has come to an end. A failure sometimes is a life lesson. Just to show you your error for you to correct it, right? And sometimes, not to get off topic, sometimes our failed marriages is due to that we're marrying people that we desire, right? That we have these fantasies of, right? We have this particular mindset of who we want to marry, right? And that sometimes our marriages fail like that because we married who we desired, not what was best for us, right? But going in to what she was saying, she kept saying, y'all Muslims. And I had to say to myself, like, well, you're Muslim too. So how is it y'all? Is it we then? Right? And, and this person said that was exposing all the other sins of the Muslim. I was like, don't fall victim of your desires, right? And this is the thing that we have to do. We have to find out what is the recipe that we need to cook to purify ourselves from falling victim to our desires. One of the major things, we have to fall back in love with the Quran. We have to fall in love with the Quran. And I'm not just talking about in English. Learning how to recite the beautiful kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as Imam Khalil said, to embed the sunnah into your heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved, we should love. What he hate, we should hate. How he looked, we should look. Of course, the standards of the men. And for them, the people the women that was around the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Embedded yourself like them. What did they wear? What did they like? What did they do? Right? We have to start being that, because the sunnah of the society today, especially our culture, is death music. The sunnah of the inner city Muslims is death music, right? We'll put the streets over anything dealing with purification of ourselves, or tazkiyat nafs, right? If the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Speak the truth even against yourself," you would lie and stand on that, or tell a lie and stand on that, because you can't do that, right? If the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to smile because of sadaqah, we walk around with the grizzly face because that was cool. What you used to call it back then, Imam, called it the ice grill, right? The ice grill.
No.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
When we say, that if we kill, if we're killing one person is like killing entire mankind. Think how many people we listen to that got murdered when we listen to the King Vons of this world. When we listen to this drill music. Not just to push Chicago, but even the New York drill, the even if we talk about the London drill, even though they don't talk about shooting, they talk about stabbing you to death. But think about how many people we heard got murdered. Right? And we glorify it because it does something to us. So we got to learn, what is that? Okay, so now we know the Quran. Learn about your personal obligation, then learn about the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You establish your prayer, try to start working on offering the 2 raka'ah before Fajr, the 2 before Thor, the 2 after Thor, the sunnah after Maghrib, and Isha. Start playing Tahajjud, right? Start doing the things that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved, right? This can be the purification of all this filth that was embedded in our hearts. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, kalla bal rana ala qulubihim ma kanu yaksibun." Surely, but verily, upon the heart is run for what you used to earn. So we got to purify ourselves from the past filth we got in our heart. That's not talking about what we're accumulating now. As Khalil's, I said during when Imam Khalil was talking, that we got people saying, "Oh, I don't want to force my child, to be Muslim." But why are you Muslim? Why are you Muslim then?
We used to say the inner secret of the person is always exposed through the child.
Through the child. So you personally want to live your life through your child.
There are plenty of Muslims. There was one thing we was going over. We was learning. Sheikh Muhammad Mendez, and I never forget this. And we got to the section where we were talking about covering, and one thing he said, "Listen, always encourage your daughters to cover, even if they're 4." He said, "Don't wait until that last minute, because it becomes embodied and becomes part of them." And I was talking to my daughter, who's now 18. She's always wore hijab even up to this day. And, and we was discussing it. And she was just saying, like, if I ever left hijab, I would feel naked because I don't know what it's like to even walk past my door without it on. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a habit, the habits that we create. And I understand, and I can admit this myself, even as a non-Muslim that converted to Islam as a black man. Prior to Islam, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do if I had children. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, I was thinking about, if I become the kingpin, then I get all my, give me my couple sons. We run the streets and things of that nature. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do, where I was going. By the time I hit 19, I became Muslim at 18, really. But by the time I hit 19 going into 20, I started getting more and more serious about Islam. And I went from that to start talking about how I was going to develop a family, how I was going to do this, what we was going to teach, these things. And it was like a passion. It was a passion of mine. And this ain't no boasting, right? This ain't no boasting. I may have been married and I may have had women that I've been divorced from. But I've never, ever stayed with a woman that will not follow the program I'm on. And my program is only Islam. Never stayed in that kind of situation, right? Children, you lose some, you win some. But not one child I ever had can ever tell you that, yo, my B told me, I need to run the streets. I need to do this, so I need to do that. But rather what was those same plans that I had behind them prison walls was the same plans I hit them streets, when my feet touched down on that concrete. That's what I stuck to. And most of the brothers that I was locked up with, we were all together out in the streets together. They're still out. Ain't none of them like really go back. None of them went back. They married men. Some of them had businesses. Many of them are, they got professional jobs, etc. They made a way for themselves. Right? Now, the thing is, and I know we see it a lot, we be like, yo, our family life, this, that, and the third. I think that we made marriage more important in Islam and in itself, that we almost function like marriage ain't really part of Islam. Like it's its own entity. And so that's why we disregard. That's one of the first things we disregard the Prophet ﷺ with. Prophet ﷺ told us, if we want success in marriage, marry a woman for deen, right? The Prophet ﷺ told us to marry our women off with men. If you're pleased with his deen and his character, marry him off, right? But usually the stipulation is some sort of dunya, some high level dunya, something to obtain. And then when everything goes wrong, there's no Islam in that household. I've counseled people. I'm an Imam. I'm an acting Imam. I'm Amir, right? I've been in people's household where you counsel them. I'll be like, listen, hold on, y'all, calm down. I mean, when they get there and I'm sitting there in the middle and they MF for this nigga, right? I'll be like, hold on, y'all. Give me the Quran. Oh, we ain't got one. We ain't got one. So a lot of our problems are self-inflicted. And so because we're not dealing with things Islamically, you make a sin, you make tawbah, you push forward, never go back to that sin. Don't even make intention. Even when you think about that sin, you don't smile, laugh about it, get a good feeling. You keep it pushing, and you should feel guilty every time you think about that sin. But we love to hang on to sins. We keep them as good memories, or we keep them as memories that we now call trauma, and now we can't move forward because we're stuck in that past. You can't change the past. You're Abdullah. Allah Ta'ala controls you. Allah Ta'ala already written for you what it is and what it ain't. Your power, you're not one of the names in the attributes of Allah Ta'ala is that He's Qadir, right? He's omnipotent. We don't have the ability to even bring a thing out of non-existence into existence. You don't have the ability to change a thing in the past. The only thing you can do is cry and beg Allah Ta'ala to forgive you for those things that you've done in the past.
But Imam Khalil, as you said, the new trend is manifestation. The new trend is the manifestation.
You gotta have Islamic solution.
Right? No, I'm saying, but the new trend now that everybody's following is manifestation. Absolutely. I can manifest it. I talk about it, it'll manifest. It'll manifest. I put this stone around my neck. This brings the high frequencies of energy. So when I'm trying to manifest it, I get it. That's the new trend.
Listen, I was talking to a brother, right? We were talking about something. He was, he was venting to me. He was trying, trying to get married, whatever. And he talked to a couple sisters, here and there, and he keep breaking it off. And there's one sister, he showed me his sister, and she is into what do you call them gypsies that play with the cards, the tarot cards. She Kima, everything, claimed to be Muslim, but she's playing with the tarot cards. Now, this is the thing. If I was to have a conversation with you, I promise you she was into horoscopes before she got to the tarots. You see what I'm saying? We try to control our future and our past. We love to look at it, even as Muslims, we'll turn to kufr in order to, what's our future going to be?
He was trying to marry her?
No. He was telling me about her, which led from the conversation to somebody else. But the lady had she had these tarot cards. Now, this I'll tell you this, right? And I'll be honest, I hope my wives ain't really paying attention to me. But if you are all caught up in the looks, she definitely will have you. She'll have you. You'll sacrifice your deen and everything because she's appealing to the eye. She's appealing to the eye. And I can almost guarantee, and you look on her profile, ain't nothing but brothers on there. Ain't number brothers on it.
Erica
And all the
Abdullah.
brothers feel like they got the answer. They got the answer for.
Hey,
Erica Abdullah.
Before the tarot cards is the Ouija
right?
board.
Be burning and stuff. See how you in there lighting candles and reading tarot. Talking about your
Erica Abdullah.
Hey,
Erica Badu, you be coming out this joint.
It start off like this here first. Crystals, Ouija board, tarot card, palm reading.
Avengers unite. They're gonna have the Thanos glove.
Ouija board, tarot card, palm reading, then spells.
Listen, man. You know that's one of the things towards that end of time, though. That's that increases zinat. And one of the things the Prophet Sallallahu mentioned is Hadith mentioned,
witches and
it's
warlocks.
in Minhaj al-Abidin as well, and the Shaykh quotes it in Tariqul Jannah about when people don't lower their gaze, men particularly, those looks are arrows that steal from your iman. And when you headed towards that way, and when your iman is completely wiped out, you head and you jump right in head first on some zinat type time. You'll jump in head first. You won't even think nothing of it. You go in head first. So this is why I'm saying that, it's strategically done. It's set up. It's set up for you. It's set up for you to fail. You know what I mean? Most of the women that used to cover, they're into the crystals now. They're into the crystals, the horoscopes, all of those things that you can think of. They're into all of that mushrikeen, that mushrik stuff. And then when Ramadan come, they wrap back up. Can't feel it. You ever met a person that where your soul and their soul mixed together and it ain't a good feeling? This is what you're catching from a lot of Muslims now, because a lot of them are into kufr. They're into it. And their way of bouncing back is, who's popping right now? Who got it going? I'm gonna jump on this train.
You get the evil vibe from them. You get the evil vibe from them. As soon as they're in your presence.
Yeah. It's something about it. It's something you can't really explain. You have to experience to understand that joint. Their soul, your soul, you be like, whoa. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like that. But this is what you're dealing with. Yup. Oshira, Orishas. Yeah, what's that? The joint in Philly where everybody be down at the Delaware River putting fruit in there. You want to be African so bad, you be mushrik. They won't be Muslim Africans. They won't be mushrikeen, giving up fruit baskets to the gods. You go down there and they'll fight you over it too. What you mean? That's part of my culture. It's our heritage. The law giving it back to it. No, that's mushrik. That's Catholic, man.
Pouring out libations.
Libations. You see what I'm saying? It's the desire
for the brothers who ain't here. For the brothers who ain't here.
It's them desires, man. Them desires.
Hey, look. Remember. I don't know if any one of y'all seen Woman King. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I ain't watched that joint yet.
When her daughter was pouring water on the shrine, you know what I'm saying, for the chick that had got killed, and her mother walked in, she said, "Look, she don't want that water," and she put that lick up there. She said she want this right here.
I'm gonna need some of that moonshine. I'm gonna take it back to 79. Oh, y'all. But no, all seriousness though, the only thing I can say for anybody who's watching this and anybody who's gonna watch it in the future, hold on tight. I believe that this is that time that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about. Hold on to your Islam with your molars, right? Truth of the matter, let's go back. The riwayah of the hadith actually starts off with get with the Jamaat that's on that. And if you notice, our weakness comes from the moment we break away from having Jamaat. Black Americans ain't got Jamaat no more. They got masjid. Everybody open up a corner store masjid and that joint closing because the people on it right then, and then they off to the next spot, and then that one closed. People getting masses built on rebuy. You know what I'm saying? Being $1 million debt just to have a building where only 10 people gonna pray there every day.
Hey,
right?
in Chicago, you speak about Jamaat, people got a bad taste in their mouth.
I don't care what your experiences is. That don't change. That doesn't change Islam.
No, it don't.
You know, you understand what I'm saying? We got this like this quitters mentality. It's like a quitters mentality. Man, I ain't with y'all no more. Like we in the NFL or something. Trade me to the Eagles. They winning right now. I'm going to the Eagles. You could tell a lot about a person's personality based on the sports they follow. Man, my team ain't winning. I'm on the bandwagon, a new team. And that's exactly how we do our Islam. We jump from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the point we're going to jump ourselves right out of Islam. People giving up on marriage now, they'd rather get a boyfriend or just go gay. Think about this, what's happening. If you ask every gay person, why'd you become gay? They either going to tell you I was born this way, somebody sexually assaulted me, or I got done dirty. That's the same excuse as desire. You're going to have ups and downs in life. We're not Catholic. Catholics don't believe in divorce. We Muslim. Right?
But they divorced, though.
That joint ain't working out. See you.
Hey, Catholic,
sometimes we keep our own self attached to trauma. By stretching it and dragging it and being somewhere where we shouldn't be.
Because we married the people that we desire instead of the people that we need. We're not before back then, just think about when I was coming up, right? Knowledge was something that everybody wanted to acquire, right? I think it was your generation, Imam Khalil, where people the massive group just wanted to go learn Islam. Everybody wanted to go learn. They wanted to go overseas. They wanted to go sit now. And then a woman wanted a man for knowledge, right? She wanted a man that was smart because it meant power, right? And we think about the Prophet when he spoke about the ignorance will oversee the people of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So now it's to the point now that a woman don't want a man with knowledge. They don't want a man with knowledge. They don't care if the man
is too much discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
It's toxic masculinity.
Exactly. So they don't want a man with knowledge.
Now I ain't gonna front. I will say this. I like to be a person that's balanced. Now I remember those days where everybody was a student of knowledge. Student of knowledge, he had two things. He had a long hand and short pockets. Right? What I mean by that, his long hands, he was constantly whooping on somebody. And his pockets were short because he ain't had no chicken. That's the truth. And now what happened is the women are beating the hell out the men. And the guy's pockets is still empty. He still got rabbit ears. Babe. You know the hug from behind? Babe.
they tell you to go outside and look for the car. Where the car at, babe? I don't know where the car at. Just go out there and go find it.
Stink, you go give me those retro 3s, Stink.
I need a laptop, baby.
That's the new trend. That's the new trend. And I'm not knocking any woman that buys her man gifts or things of that nature. That's not what I'm saying. But that fortitude and that desire to be the man that leads the household, he want to put his foot down when the wife like listening to the Imam, when the wife like going to the masjid. You ain't going to that masjid. But he ain't gonna say nothing when she gotta go to work. When she out there with all the men and Rafiq, her manager, is her work husband. He ain't got nothing to say about that. Rafiq feeding the lectures. He ain't saying nothing about that now. But look though, there's a lot of stuff that everybody's mentioning in here. It mentioned about so yeah. Now this the thing. I don't know who the person is because I'm not mentioning your name, and I ain't really worried about the name. But if you look at this statement right here, right? The Jamaat is becoming a gang mentality. to where where we be only real Jamaat and the rest are ops. Now this I'm gonna give you a real reality to this, right? This does happen. Now, if you know, and even if the person is wrong in doing so, if you feel that you're on the truth and you're promoting it, this happens. You see another group that's on the truth, but then you make them your opposition. First, y'all start off friends. And I believe they only really befriend each other in order to get a feel for where you at. And once they get to know you enough, then that's when they start to, you don't listen to him. He ain't really got no knowledge. I got the higher isnad. I'm the real sheikh. My sheikh is better than his sheikh, and so on and so forth, right? It's been, if you know me over the last 20 years, you'll know that there's a lot of things that changed about me. I don't mess with everybody no more. As a matter of fact, I think I'm growing more and more people that dislike me because I don't mess with everybody. One thing that I know for certain, and alhamdulillah, you know, my journey to Islam through streets, prison, and all that, it taught me one thing. I could spot a Negro on game, even if he got a thobe and a turban on. I could spot a dude on game. And I ain't never the person jump out, start getting all emotional. I just watch you and I just like, yo, I ain't messing with dude, right? I've seen it and experienced where people will literally lie, make up stories, saying all kinds of, man is a thing, yo, you know, you can't bring the women around Khalil, he'll marry them all, like all kinds of things, all manners of things. In order to deter people, you know, from, you know, sitting down listening. I mean, shoot, we even got to the point where people were saying that when we had the mismatch shit on 52nd Street, that we had the dead body of the sheikh in the basement and we was praying to him. You can't make this up, right? So yes, that does happen. The mushrikeen was the ops to the people of truth. But Islam has gotten complex now that when you have things mix and matching, not only you have, you know, kufr that you're up against, but then you also have Muslims that have rogue belief, right? It's too much like right for one Muslim, right? And I'm gonna keep it 100, one black Muslim to another one that support each other, right? Even if it's just from a distance. No, you got to be up under me. If you ain't up under me, then it ain't nothing popping, right? That's really how it is. If you ain't up under my umbrella, then, you know, I ain't messing with you, right? That's how it is. This 2023. This is 2023 Islam. If you ain't up under me, then I ain't messing with you at all, right? Now, no, yo, we can just see the points that we work with, or at least at minimum, we can just agree to stay out of each other's way. Right? But if I'm doing something wrong, I don't want you to call me on it. Because if you call me on it and my people start to see it, then they're going to stop following me. Right? And so then therefore you have that type of thing. You have this back and forth thing. And people pick and choose the information that they want to release publicly. And they withhold stuff, or they lie about stuff, keep it in a corner, or they'll say, well, yeah, but they ain't that one. Right? They're not being academically honest. They're being academically dishonest in order to keep their constituency. So that is what you see. When you have a Jamaat, you do have to, because I think, and this is my personal opinion, the people that know the most with regards to what is loyalty and sincerity is the people that come up from nothing and make themselves out of it. Now, the problem is with that, I came up from nothing, there's a mentality that goes with it that stops you, and sometimes it makes you a natural hater. You don't know how to go back and help no one else out. And this is what Islam promotes. Islam promotes that when you obtain that level, you bring people up with you. Right? When you look at the Sheikh Uthman and Fodio, Taqaddam Allah bi rahmati, as he was learning, his people was learning, right? The first example of that is we got our priorities in the wrong spot. We want to teach everybody else. We want to see the masses become Muslim, but meanwhile, our families aren't even a reflection of what we say we on. They're not even a reflection. Our children expose our secrets. Every time your child doesn't know how to make wudu, every time your child walks around in the masjid with urine on them after using the bathroom and not making wudu and joining the salat ranks, that's an exposure against you. Right? So these type of things. But when you have a group of people that come together to learn, oh, it's a beautiful thing. You have a group of people that come together and learn, and they spend time with each other, eat and drink, and have time with each other. That's a beautiful thing. When you have people come together and learn, and then all of a sudden y'all sneak dissing each other and talking about each other's faults and things of that nature. Oh, now you done shifted dichotomy. You done changed everything. Right? You start changing. You start changing everything now. And how is that? Because now, because of all of the backbiting and the slandering and things that's going on now, so much laughter. Sometimes we laugh too much to the point that we destroy our own suhbah. We make mockery of the person to the point we destroy the brotherhood. The Prophet ﷺ, you want to learn how to joke with people? Learn about how the Prophet ﷺ did it. Make that your measuring stick or your rule of thumb. But what happens with us is we don't have no limits. And sometimes we go too far and nobody checks us. Don't think the ayahs was revealed about backbiting and slander. It ain't had no purpose. Right? Even in there, well, Allah Ta'ala tell the men to make sure that their women are in line and watch what they say, because it could destroy brotherhood. How many Jamaats get destroyed because of one brother's wife, he can't control her? That's the reality. These things are happening and it's destroying us. Why is it happening and affecting us? It's because men ain't men. And I ain't just saying that like from a woman's perspective. Stop clapping, sister, because I don't mean what you intended. Men ain't being men. Men mean you have to have fortitude. You have to stand on business, right? That's what a man does. He runs his household. That's what a man do. It doesn't matter whether he got a lot of money or a little bit of money. His position is divine. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not based on condition. What's based on condition is whether you're going to marry him or not. But once you in it to win it, you owe him and he owes you. You can't change that. And what we like to do is start changing stuff from the inside, our desires. We become the enemy from within. That's what happens with a lot of us. And so then how we think that we can run and go to, let me run to the sheikh and put my soul in his hand. Dude, your soul is foul. And sometimes there ain't enough help for you. The only thing you need to do is turn in tawbah. Make tawbah. And ask Allah Ta'ala forgive you. That is the first maqam, the first station of kisalata istiqamah, of traits of uprightness. Tawbah. And there's a little ikhtilaf on whether it's tawbah or knowledge. But whatever the case is, tawbah. Most of us walk around, we don't repent for jack diddly squat. And then when death catches, we're going to wish we did make tawbah. You got a family, urge your family to make tawbah. Make it together. You got a jamaat, make tawbah together. Urge the people to make tawbah. We'll call you to everything else, but we won't call you to tawbah. That's the first station. That was the statement of Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. Everybody was rushing towards the door of knowledge, but the doors of tawbah was empty. And that's what we're lacking. That's why we don't have no spiritual opening, no spiritual gain. We still functioning. People are getting married. They used to be committing zina together before they got married. Make tawbah after the wedding. But no, we don't do that. We just put on the garment and just start talking about everybody. And they
don't want to talk about the wait period after fornication before you get married.
Come on now.
They ain't ready for that conversation.
You trying to kill them?
They ain't ready for that conversation. That after committing fornication for the man and the woman. You know what I mean? I mean, it just the one in the introduction of the Akhdari, the sheikh he had mentioned Toba, but what he mentioned before Toba, it being it being makruh to associate with people who are fasiks. You mean and change your company. Change your company. We trauma bond.
Who we run back to?
We trauma bond. We want right back to the people that aid us in being guffler to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To being neglectful to remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People be talking about dhikr bees being bid'ah, and they don't make dhikr at all. They don't even read the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions so many prohibitions in the Quran. When you remind them of it, they act like they don't know what you're talking about. Like
because
they have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a reflection of themselves.
Just like the woman that came to I think it was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and she had told him that she had told him that I've read the Quran countless times, and he asked her, did you read ayat 7 of Surah Al-Hashr? And he recited the ayat to her, and then she said, "Wallahi, I seen your wife doing it." He said, "Go check on her now, and if she's doing it, I'll divorce her." That's that same ayat, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what the messenger forbids you, abstain from it. What he orders you to do, engage in it. Many of us don't even pray every sunnah to each fard salah. How we're following the sunnah? It's so many of us don't even pray the 2 fajr rak'ahs before the soup, before the obligatory prayer. But we're following the sunnah. It's so many of us that don't even pray the witr prayer after Isha before going to bed. Let alone don't wake up for tahajjud and pray it in the middle of the night. And the witr prayer is a sunnah mu'akkada. The Prophet never left it. And we don't even pray it. Just like he never left praying the 2 rak'ahs before the obligatory prayer and soup and fajr.
But it's only recommended.
But hey, look, man, please knock it off.
Too late.
Knock it off, man. People like that need to knock it off. It's only recommended. That's because you don't want to act on it. That's because you don't love. That's because you don't love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You reject his sunnah.
We make dua for our sister Eva, inshallah, that Allah Ta'ala make matters better for her. Ameen. This is based on the comment that she put. Just keep struggling with it, inshallah. Keep struggling.
Right, Abu Muhammad. But the thing is, though, as you were saying, that change your company, is that when you change your company, we tend to be with the people that's lower than us, because it's no standard, it's no totem pole, there's no pole anymore, right? Because we want to say that we better than them, right? So now when you're amongst the people like this, you just can't say you're better. You have to practice that, and and then that's where it goes into what the Prophet ﷺ said, that when you keeping good companies as if you walked in a fragrance store, right? So now we don't want to keep good company, because sometimes, akhi wallahi, and forgive me for saying it, that we don't want to do better. It's hard to be better than what you was yesterday. We don't want to be better, bro. We don't want to be a better person. Why? Because now you have to change the people, places, and things you used to do. If I want to be better, I can't hang with Shaniqua. I can't hang with Shoot 'em Up Bobby. I can't stand on the corner like that. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala speaks about it in Riyadh al-Salihin, about staying away from a place you committed sin. So now I can't be in this place like that no more, right? I can't do these type of things. And it goes back to your desires, but my desires is this. My desires want that. So if I got to be among better people, I can't do these type of things. So we run to it because it's a comfort zone. It's like a cookie. It's like a cookie for a depressed fat person. It puts them back in that warm spot, that soft cookie fresh out the oven. It puts you back in that state.
What you talking about is mujahid, struggle. That's
Right?
that struggle.
So now we don't want to do that. We don't want to. I heard the same person, I heard them say that I ain't trying to meet new friends. I wrote them in that. So you, as a Muslim, you're not trying to meet new Muslims that could teach you something. You happy being around Muslims that call you to the haram.
Hey,
I remember Abu Isa said that we don't want khair. He once said we don't want khair. We don't want good.
This is crucial for brothers coming home from prison. As a matter of fact, I don't know, but most places you can't parole. I know New York State, you can't parole nowhere else except for the place where you committed the crime. Oh, they want you to come back.
And commit the sin and commit the wrong.
You have to look at it like this. For the brothers that's behind the wall that's listening, take this advice from me. Your path, your tariqah, your path, your suluk, that path you're going to walk, it starts while you in there. And then you bring it home with you. Most people make their plans for when they get out. Once they get out, right? And I remember I was about to get released from Fishkill Correctional Facility. And CO came to me and he brought me a Quran. He was like, yo, your man that got out yesterday, man, he threw his Quran and his prayer rug in the garbage, man. I took it and brought it to you. I figured you wanted, And so you have to make that plan. And the plan is to get home. Things ain't always going to happen the way you want it to be. And this same advice for people that's not even in jail. Things ain't going to happen the way you want it to. A lot of times when things don't happen the way we want it to, we're ready to abandon Islam altogether. That's why I named it Deen, your desires versus the Deen. Things don't go right. Think about it. I'm telling you, people treat marriage like a separate institution. When they get divorced, they divorce Islam altogether, especially sisters. They divorce it all together. And then how they justify it, the brothers, they just be practicing Islam. If you really on this Deen, ain't nothing going to take you away from it. Think about it. What was Yasser's mother name? Sumaya. She got killed in the name of Islam. Many of us wouldn't even make it. All you got to do is just force you. If you have a war, right? If you understand war and combat, women and children become concubines, right? Women and children become concubines. A lot of our women wouldn't even put up a fight. They'll just cross right over. They doing it willingly. They're accepting the chakras and the horoscopes and the tarot cards and the emotion. I hate men and I want to be a lesbian and bi and everything else. You're giving it right up. You're a concubine. You're a concubine to your desires. That's who your master is. Your desires, and you're his concubine. A concubine ain't nothing but another way of saying slaves. Not to the same effect of transatlantic slavery, but understand this: with concubines don't have a right to reject the master when he want to have sex with you. That might hit home for a lot of people. You may, in your mind, you may call it rape and things of that nature. That's what people when they be over in other countries, and the American soldiers be over there, and they saying, oh, they raping the women. A lot of them they captured as concubines, right? And many of us are concubines to our nafs, to our desires. Our desires have his way with us, to the point you'll even go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to take it one step at a time, Play football, don't play soccer. Soccer, the only thing they care about is getting to the goal. Football, we just going to get another 10 yards. I'm praying all 5 today, and I'm going to keep going, right? And this is also another thing that I always used to use as a rule of thumb. And one of my teachers, he was teaching this when we first was sitting with him. But I read this hadith some years ago. When you do an action for 40 days, it becomes your action. So whatever it is that action that you want to do, you do it for 40 days, it becomes a regular habit, a regular practice of yours, right? So everybody starts at a different level. You might be a person that just want you want to increase fasting. You fast for 40 days, but when you make your intention to fast, or whatever this action is that you're doing, make sure that action is something you're going to stick to until death reaches you. Don't never give up, never stop doing good. You give up and stop doing bad, but you never give up and stop doing good. You keep going towards good, and you want to do more good, because doing more good is like getting money, right? More money you get, the happier you are. Meaning that you're happy that you accumulated. You see the fruits of your labor, right? With good deeds is the same thing. You keep doing it, but you recognize those good deeds as being a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Do them and do it, be consistent and persistent with it. Make it your niyyah to do these things until you die, and constantly ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you and assist you in it, right? No matter what the situation is, no matter what the deed is that you're trying to do, 40 days is yours. The Prophet ﷺ don't lie, right? Keep doing that thing. Keep doing it until it becomes a natural practice. And it ain't just going to be one thing. You're going to be doing this until death. And if you got a wife, you got a husband, encourage your husband. You got a child, your daughter, your son, encourage them to do it too. Come on, let's all fast on Mondays. Come on, let's all fast today. Come on, we all going to set the clock. We're going to get up for tahajjud. Come on, I'm going to set the clock. You know, we're going to do this. You have to make sure that thing is done, and something that's done is consistent, right? And your intention is to do that until death reaches you. Because just because you accomplish something, you don't stop there, right? You go all the way. You try to get the next 10 yards until you get to the final goal. And the final goal, that touchdown, is Jannah. It's paradise.
One of the first tarbiyah that my sheikh had instructed me in, after taking Tariqa Shadaliyah, was the 40 grand. What the 40 grand consists of? It consisted of a number of things, and then in these practices was something that if you can complete the 40 days, then you do another 40 days, and then you do another 40 days till if you done completed it or try or attempted to complete it 7 to 8 times, is definitely embedded in your character, right? The first stage of the 40 grand to establish the prayer, every last one of the prayers on time. If you had the ability, all of the sunnahs to each one of the prayers on time within its time. The second is to make tawbah every night before you go to sleep. Write down every sin that you committed that day, right? Make tawbah for it. Go to sleep. The next day, start all over again. The next stage of the 40 grand is the tarbiyah of the ears and the tongue, slandering and backbiting and tail bearing, and also listening to it. If at any time that you break one of these patterns, you got to start all over again. You got to start all over again.
Muhammad. And Muhammad, you just ignited my spiritual internal drug dealing state when you said 40 grand. I was getting money. I'm over here rubbing my hands together, Birdman. Like, we gonna get this money, baby. We gonna get that 40 grand, baby. Let's go.
You got to start all over again. You mean that's why I know brothers personally that's been treading this path, and they never completed a 40 grand. So when I hear someone about, oh, well, I completed the 40 grand, did you complete it all the way through, or did you have to start over at least 40 times or 50 times? You know what I mean? Because some people are consistent in being inconsistent. If anyone understand what that means, being consistent in being inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? So I don't be wanting to hear, oh, y'all completed it, because I know for myself, for the past 30 years, I done did it at least 100 times and may have completed it 4 or 5 times within the 100 times. Don't ask me about now. Don't ask me about now. I'm shot out right now.
I want to add something to that. It's a mind state and mentality for those that's listening and those who will hear it later. There's nothing wrong with starting over. If you fall down, you get back up. That's how we all came from a toddler to grown folks. You fall down, you get right back up, and you keep moving, right? Matter of fact, you don't make no noise. Don't even tell nobody you fell off, right? What do I mean by that? If you slack, you know how when your baby fall, and everybody like, shh, he gonna start crying. Shh. No, everybody turn and don't look at you and stuff. Take that same mentality and run with that, right? And you start back over until you reach your goal. You don't never stop. The problem is that we take the illusion and believe we have time. There was a brother, man, brother Luqman, rahmatullahi alayhi. You know, I love the brother, man, good brother, you know. And we prayed together. Man, he's kind of bringing tears to my eyes to think about the dude. We prayed together. I think the last prayer we prayed together was Maghrib. His wife was at the masjid by Fajr saying he needed to be buried by Dhuhr. You know what I'm saying? And he was a good dude, man. That was my guy, you know. And he was trying, and we used to have, like, we used to hang out. You know what I mean? We had them heart-to-heart talks, you know, that brotherhood, you know what I'm saying? And we would just, you know, and I was like, yo, we just gotta keep pushing, man. We're gonna meet each other here at the masjid. And we used to be like, yo, make wudu. I'm gonna make wudu. We'll call each other. Yo, you on your way? Yeah, you made wudu? Yeah. All right. Now we gotta get them angels making dua for us. And we will always just meet up at the masjid. That's how we, you know, how we would do things, you know. And then we'd be sitting there and we just rap for the night, man. That night when he died, it was like a shock. It was a shock, you know, and it was sudden. You know what I'm saying? And how many people you know that's dying suddenly without any type of warning? We don't have time. That's one of the tricks of Shaitan. He always whispers to you like you got more time, and we don't have time, right? Every time your eyes blink, whether you got the brooms on your eyes, whether you got the brooms on your eyes or you just got your regular eyelashes, right? That blink is one blink closer to death. That inhale, exhale is one closer to death, right? So, you know, you have to keep that in mind. And while we're alive, we got to do all the good we can. If you know somebody's hungry, feed that person. You'll get paradise by taking care of the needs of other believers. Don't never leave nobody hungry, right? Feed them, all right? Don't hesitate. Feed them. That may be that one thing, that'll get you to paradise. After you feed that person, you may die on that thing. And that thing, that's a form of sadaqah, and it erases some of your bad deeds. So we gotta keep at it. Everything that we do. And don't, even if it's towards your spouse. Think about it. For a man that spends on his wife, on his family, period, that's sadaqah. Now you imagine you come in with Reese cups and things of that nature for your wife, and she, you know, she's pleased by this. Or your husband, and so on and so forth. You cook for him, or whatever the case is, and then you die after that. You on a good note. But we don't look at it like that. We don't have a lot of time. 60 years is not a lot of time to live. 70 years ain't a lot of time to live. 80 years ain't a lot of time to live. As a matter of fact, the truth of the matter is, when we were younger, time was slow. The older we get, time don't even stand still no more. I was just 30 yesterday. Man, 33 is crazy. So, inshallah, I'm done.
You know that
here, man.
I'm good, man. It was great, man. Great topic.
One of the things that we also got to keep in mind, and it's a reminder to myself. It's a reminder to myself first and foremost. However, I always develop. Allah Ta'ala always have blessed me to develop this practice. Is to be able to pour out your cup of milk. Pour out your cup of milk, and what I mean by that is that you don't know everything. You don't know everything. As much as you go over lessons that you learn from a teacher and you revise them lessons, you keep going over and over and over and over and over again. That's not all the knowledge that you obtain. As many books that you have read cover to cover or studied cover to cover, continue to go over them over and over, steady revive them. and then don't be afraid to relearn something that you may have learned a certain method, a different method the first time. The second time and the third time you relearn it, you may discover something that you overlooked and you missed. That you overlooked and you missed. A lot of times I hear excuses about sisters wanting to divorce from their husband because their husband didn't teach them anything. Not giving any indication that maybe they're not teachable. Or maybe that they know more than their husband. They know more than their husband. One thing that I've noticed about many people here is that they're afraid to answer. They're afraid to say that they don't know about a certain topic, about any topic. I remember one time I was married to a sister, and she put on the front that she knew her Salah, right? Come to find out, she only knew 10 surahs from the Quran, but she didn't know anything else in the Salah. So she was just going through the movement. It was like twisting the arm and pulling teeth to get them to tell me that they don't know the dua between the first sajda, and the sitting and the second sajda. That they didn't know tayammum, they didn't know the tashahhud, and they didn't know dua Ibrahim, and they didn't know any of the duas, the sunnah duas after you salam out or before you salam out. So it was like like pulling teeth and twisting the arm. So after 8 months, it took 8 months to find out that they didn't know. So at the same time of them trying, struggling, striving, trying to get back on their deen, here it is. They marry a man that Allah Ta'ala blessed with some information. You mean blessed with some knowledge, a little bit of information, and you're ashamed to say that you don't know. If you don't say you don't know, how are you gonna learn? That's the purpose of saying you don't know. So that you can learn. So don't be afraid to pull out your cup of milk. Don't be afraid to pull out your glass of milk, your glass of water, and refill it, and keep pouring it out and keep refilling it. So subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati ma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin. والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك وارحم الراحمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهذه إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقدار العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone who's watching on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Everyone who's watching on Facebook, please share the video, share the podcast, share it to your groups, share it to your page. We're trying to get this Facebook algorithm and this YouTube algorithm going.
Right, we're trying to get these Apple pens, you know what I mean, for our tablets too, because everybody got these tablets.
These $100 Apple pens.
We trying to get these $100 Apple pens. You know what I mean? These Apple pens now. You know. All right, Justin. I want to.
All right,
the programs coming up too, inshallah.
Oh yeah. Tell me about the program before we hang up.
25th, it'll be online from 12:30, 4:30. We doing purification of the heart. December 29th, We're gonna be talking about like basically a foundation of wilaya, protected friendship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then on December 30th, we'll be at Masjid Muhammad in Philadelphia. Inshallah, we're inviting people out personally. Hopefully we see you there. Come visit with us, inshallah. Break bread. We'll talk about camaraderie and brotherhood, inshallah. And it'll also be streamed online for those who can't make it. So inshallah, look out for the flyers. It's already circulating. Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. We got it on all our platforms, inshallah. And you can probably see it on our website if it's not under construction, tajdidasunnah.org. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.